We're recording this presentation. So let's move to the next slide. So 3 years ago today, Adamah and 21 major national and international Jewish organizations launched the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition. The goals of the coalition are simple: to mobilize the organized Jewish community to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and more broadly, to take collective action to mitigate the climate crisis. Adamah is the convener of the coalition. And as of today, we have engaged over 460 Jewish organizations in 42 states in the US, 4 Canadian provinces, and a handful of international organizations. In addition to all the Jewish organizations mentioned, we are part of a broader movement of faith-based and secular organizations committing to take action to reduce their own greenhouse gas emissions and engage in collective efforts to help our society transition to a more sustainable future. And joining the coalition is free. This is how you do it. First, your rabbi or your ED completes a brief registration form. The form itself only takes a couple of minutes online. And then you designate 1 or 2 liaisons to lead the climate action work. They can either be staff or lay leaders. And one or both of the liaisons attend a brief group or one-on-one orientation to learn more about all the resources we provide and how to access them. Then the only other requirement is for the coalition members to submit and implement a user-friendly organizational climate action plan annually. And these are the resources that are available for coalition members: the Climate Action Resource Guide and templates, the seminars, workshops, roundtables, one-on-one coaching, monthly newsletters, and members-only website. We have a special energy efficiency rebate widget, and we offer networking and collaboration through communities of practice that you can join. And of course, financial support in the form of interest-free loans and matching grants through the Adamah Climate Action Fund. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Shahar Sadet to introduce Adamah New York, and Annette Powers from UJA, who will say a few words.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and welcome everyone. Shana Tova. It's so nice to see many of you on the call today. I'm Shahar Sadet, the founder director of Adamah New York Community Impact Hub. I want to thank you for joining, and I'm excited to see many non-coalition members on the call today, with the hope you'll join us as members. Adamah New York launched 2 years ago, and we're tasked to cultivate vibrant Jewish life in deep connection with the earth, bringing climate action, immersive Jewish learning, and youth empowerment together across New York City, Westchester, and Long Island. We believe that Jewish wisdom and environmental stewardship belong together, and that real change starts locally. This is why we have the hubs. Our work centers around 3 main pillars. The first is youth engagement. We have programs for teens and for college-age students. I'll drop in the chat all the relevant links. I want to focus on something else today. We have Jewish environmental education and community building as our second pillar of work. We have many hands-on, joyful experiences, holiday programming that honors tradition and planet, hands-on climate action education, and opportunities to deepen your community's connection to Jewish values through nature and environmental stewardship. In your institution, we're here in New York, and we do all of these opportunities in person. So if you want to learn more, happy to. And one such huge opportunity is our Rooted event this Sunday, and I hope you heard about this already, where 1,000 volunteers from our community will take care of parks, beaches, and gardens across New York. If you or your organization want to join us, it'll be awesome. Over 62 organizations have signed up so far, Jewish institutions, and many other local organizations from the Parks Foundations. And over 850 individuals signed up as of this morning. The link will be in the chat. And the registration ends on Thursday night. So please hurry up if you didn't so far and join us on 23 locations across New York. But today's webinar is all about our third pillar, climate action, and the opportunity to enjoy a really good tool in our toolbox, the Climate Action Fund. For some on the call, the grants might be available, and for all of you, loans are available. We have all sorts of webinars. Today is not one that is enriching or educational. It's more tachlis, very focused on how to tap into resources that will help you implement your climate action plan and become more energy efficient and financially sustainable as an organization because of that. On our website, you can find a recording of previous webinars about climate action in New York, such as financing, local energy legislation, food and climate in New York, composting, and much more. And once you're part of the coalition, you are, of course, receiving much more than that, everything that Sarah described, not just the New York focused one. This is just the hub's perspective. If you are in New York as a coalition member, you're also invited to in-person workshop. You can enjoy site visits by Daniel and others, and we're happy to hold your hand with finding providers or connecting you to city agencies that might be able to support you. So if you didn't join us so far, this is the time to join. And I want to turn really quickly to Annette Powers, my friend and partner in crime from the UJA Federation of New York, who works as their synagogue engagement director and who will share a few words of wisdom about UJA role in this moment.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see so many people on here. And I know not all of you are in the New York area, but many of you are. So I just wanted to talk quickly about the Climate Action Fund that UJA Federation has funded with our partners at Adamah, which is to encourage local synagogues and day schools to take on an energy efficiency project. And it's a matching grant. So if you come up with, up to $10,000, UJA will match up to $10,000 for that grant to do those works. And really, it's just UJA putting some funding behind the idea of making our buildings more energy efficient, not only because it's important to do for the climate, but also it helps synagogues and day schools lower their bills over time. So it's a two-pronged approach at helping synagogues and day schools. You have to be a member of Adamah's Climate Coalition to apply for the grant. And you have to be in New York, Westchester, or Long Island, New York City, Westchester, or Long Island. If you have any questions about this, you can speak to me or to Shachar. And I really hope to see some of you apply for this in the next round, which is coming up in November. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Annette and Shahar, for that introduction to Adamah, New York. And I will take it from here and move on to the Climate Action Fund description. So we've got this saying here at Adamah, climate inaction is expensive. Climate inaction is expensive. There's a myth that taking climate action is expensive, but it's ignoring climate change and continuing to operate inefficiently and using outdated technologies that is expensive in the long run. And so we expect all of your organizations to be around for the long run. And yet we also understand that sometimes there are upfront costs that can be challenging to come up with in order to make that investment that will pay off over time, hence the Adamah Climate Action Fund. So let's redirect your precious financial resources to actually achieving your mission, whether it's strengthening Jewish community, educating young people, or something else wonderful. And to date, Adamah has completed 6 rounds of applications, awarding over $1.3 million in matching grants and interest-free loans. The recipients are projected to save more than $806,000 in utility costs and reduce at least 2,700 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents annually. And these numbers are conservatively estimated projections. That's 35 tanker trucks worth of gasoline. We have awarded so many awards that we needed 2 slides to display all the names, which Daniel has just shown you. And now let's move on to the next slide here. Much of what I'm sharing today is readily available on the coalition members website. And so I'm going to move fairly quickly to maximize time for Q&A at the end. So it's open to coalition members that are in good standing. As Annette said, good standing means you've attended an orientation, submitted a climate action plan if it's due, and if you are a previous grant or loan recipient, you must have completed the funded project successfully and complied with all reporting requirements. And the Climate Action Fund is for new projects. Additional factors we consider as we evaluate your loan or grant request include the project reduces greenhouse gas emissions. We prefer financially stable organizations. We prefer organizations that are maximizing rebates and other funding sources. And the likelihood of the project moving forward and meeting the project completion deadline is also something that we look at. So let's move forward here. The projects that we fund are sourcing clean electricity, going electric, and energy efficiency. Those are the 3 categories. Installing on-site solar or geothermal is an example of sourcing clean electricity. Going electric means equipment upgrades to the most efficient and lowest emission technology available. And energy efficiency means improving the building envelope, like the attic or exterior wall insulation, replacing or sealing doors and windows, lighting retrofits, green roofs, white roofs, or smart building technologies to monitor and manage energy, like for HVAC, lighting, and security assets, like lighting sensors and programmable thermostats. And we have several funds currently open right now. And on this slide, the first 2 should interest you the most, the North American Climate Loan and the Adamah New York Climate Action Fund grant. In terms of the loan, we encourage organizations to think big. The opportunity to take a loan up to $100,000 that has 0 interest should be irresistible. Think boldly and expansively about projects you could take on in the coming months. Most projects, once implemented, will start saving you money immediately. So a 0 interest loan should make things feel possible that maybe previously didn't feel possible. And if you don't have a single large project like a solar installation, consider combining multiple smaller projects to generate a budget that's large enough to justify a loan. Like, for instance, maybe it's time to upgrade your HVAC and insulate the attic and replace the inefficient lighting. In terms of the loan, they're for up to $100,000, 0% interest. There is a 2% origination fee, and there's a 5-year payback period. So that's pretty generous. And projects typically must be completed within the 12 months of an award. And I'll just repeat a little bit of what Annette said for the Adamah New York Climate Action Fund grant. It's between $5,000 and $10,000, must be matched by the coalition organization, open to synagogues, day schools, and yeshivat in New York City's 5 boroughs, Long Island and Westchester. Projects must be completed within 12 months of the award. And yes, an organization can get an Adamah grant and a loan for the same project. And the next slide, I think what you're probably most interested in here is the last one listed on there, the Jewish Solar Challenge. This is a grant up to $50,000, which is not to exceed 50% of the cost of the solar project. The deadline to apply for the interest form is September 22nd, coming right up. That's a fairly simple form to just fill out and say you're interested. And then finalists selected from those who registered on the interest form are invited to submit further materials in October. And there's the website, jewishsolarchallenge.com/apply 2025. So if you're thinking of solar, go ahead and fill out that interest form. if you can, as soon as possible. The other two funds we have open right now are for LA County, and the National US Solar Grant Fund is for solar projects up to $10,000. But if you're from New York and thinking solar, it's better to go for the New York Adamah Climate Action Fund. And let's go to the next slide here. We've already got us there. The applications are now all up on the members page. And you can look at them at any time to see exactly what you need to apply. And also note that we have a project budget template that you're required to use when you apply for the loan and for the grant for New York. And the application deadline for all of these funds is November 6th, 2025. And I can't emphasize enough, it's required to read the FAQs before you apply. It gives you a lot to think about and likely answer any questions you may have lingering. So check out the FAQs, preview the applications, decide what project you're applying for, and start getting proposals. We need 2 for your application, if that's applicable, and book a one-on-one consultation if needed. We want to make sure that you fill out that application completely on the first try. So talk to us first if you would like. And then you can also register for the application workshop that's on October 15th, and that's to get assistance in filling out your application. So yeah, oh, there's one more resource we've got here. For people who are not yet members, you can see our new public web page to learn about the climate action funds, adamah.org/climate grants loans. And on there, you can download some flyers about the loans to share with people in any in-person meetings you might want to have and share. You can print them off and share them around to in-person meetings. And there's also a link to read much more detailed information about all of these funds that you can download. So yeah, I think that is, oh, no, I got to tell you, here's an example of an Adamah New York grant recipient. Here's a case study from Yeshiva University who received a grant for their LED lighting project. Their total cost of their project was $86,000. They got an Adamah New York Climate Action Fund grant of $10,000, and then they got their $60,000 utility rebate, and they are saving $14,000 a year in annual electricity savings. Their payback is a little over 1 year, and they're reducing about 20 metric tons annually from carbon emissions reductions. And here's another one from California. It's a Valley Best Shalom put up solar at the cost of $1.26 million. And they got federal direct pay, which you're going to hear more about from Lior in a minute. And they also got a $100,000 loan from Adamah. And they are saving over $167,000 a year in annual electricity savings. They estimate to save over $6 million over 25 years. And their solar project should pay for itself in 4 to 6 years. They're saving 210 metric tons annually. So, it's really worth it to dive in and go whole hog, do your big project, and look at the payback. And after that, you're getting your energy for free. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Lior now, who has some information on how to fund your projects from other sources. And then when she's done, we'll open it up for questions, and we'll let Daniel introduce himself at that point. So take it away, Lior.
What a joy to be here together. And so I've got some other resources that are available to everybody right now. And this one is one that hopefully many of you have heard about. It's coming from the Inflation Reduction Act, a piece of legislation passed a couple of years ago, which in short allows all of us nonprofits to access what was historically for many decades, federal rebates for taking action like solar. So this allows for 30% minimum for renewable energy projects, and is a guarantee from the government. And so Sarah alluded to it. This is often what's called direct pay, in that for nonprofits who otherwise couldn't get tax incentives, it's a direct pay from the government to the nonprofit. There are adders that are available. Organizations, and one in the coalition has gotten 40% direct pay, but it's a guaranteed minimum of 30. And there is a timeline to do the work and do the paperwork. And so it's expected to about 12 to 18 months between the project completing until you get the check from the government. Next, please. But you may have heard that much has changed in the last few months around the Inflation Reduction Act and a whole bunch of legislation and norms. And so in this last year, HR 1 is a new piece of legislation which has drastically changed this specific bucket of funding for us being nonprofits. So hugely important. Everything I just said remains to be true. Work done today to install solar on your nonprofit is still eligible for that 30% incentive. There have been changes. So now, though this was a provision that was supposed to last 10 years, the 30% is guaranteed, as it has been, for any project that commences construction by December 31st. So by the end of this year. There are, as you can imagine, IRS regulations about what it means to start construction, but it's very achievable. So if you're in this Zoom room right now thinking that you're ready to start a solar project, I saw some of that in the chat. Maybe you've spoken to a contractor, your board is interested, but you have nothing signed. Don't worry, you can still get it done. You're still, like, there's enough time to be able to do enough to commence construction, and we're here to have your back and to support you along the way. On January 1st, things aren't going away entirely, but the expectation is that rules are going to change on what is eligible. We don't yet know exactly what the rules will be, and the terminology is yet to be defined. So though some projects will be able to continue and get the resources in the start of 2026. What we are really encouraging everyone to do who's in this room and ready to take action is that we will support you in taking action in this year. I didn't see this in the chat, but a really interesting piece is that around direct pay and the rules from the Inflation Reduction Act, the resources, the 30% minimum is going to continue to be available for ground source heat pumps. That's a technology that pulls from kind of the constant temperature of the earth to provide energy efficient and renewable energy for heating and cooling. It is a relatively-ish new technology for nonprofits like us, but amazingly within the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition, we have many cases of synagogues and institutions doing this work. And I understand that many of you are coming from New York City. You're like, what? Geothermal in a small footprint? That's not possible. Actually, amazingly, technology is such that there are geothermal in small footprints is increasingly available. And we can, on the link that I put in for the climate grants and loans, there's even at the bottom a case study of a synagogue in Montreal that installed geothermal in an urban setting. So it's great. It'll be a critical solution for the next decade. And very much so, we are here to support you in doing your major projects now while the funding is at its greatest. Next, please. Okay, so, right, if not now, when? If you are thinking about doing solar, but you have questions and you want more information, and really what are the changes around direct pay, what federal incentives exist, join us again later today at 3:30 Eastern. We have a webinar with some policy experts and some financing folks. So, meaning if you if you just want to know your available incentives because you're going to tap into our loan and the grants and you have enough capital to do this work, amazing. Still really useful to come so you understand the policy landscape. And if you're like, we've got everything we need, but we need a project manager, we may need some more financing help. We have partners who have been pros in the nonprofit space to help facilitate you going from interest to action, and once again, guaranteed to get that 30% minimum from direct pay. And indeed, as Shachar just put into the chat, like this, we'll be recording it and we can share it out. So we can put out the registration for that link in the chat as well. Next. And then really importantly, there are resources that are beyond the federal government that all of you can tap into. Both state and local municipalities have lots of resources that are coming often from local governments, from the utilities. Daniel and Shachar, and for those in a community impact hub, your local Adamah network is a great place to kind of dive into a little bit more of these resources that are available. But even a layperson can hop onto these resources to understand specifically what's available. So both the Desire is the government website, Utility Genius is one that's through a partner where you just put in your location and you can in your project and you can see what's available to you. And so those are often just direct money to lower the cost of energy efficiency projects and maybe even things like renewable energy. And that's the last bit there, and then we'll come back to this, which is local contractors should absolutely be a resource to help you. So if you have some questions, and you have a contractor who you're engaging for a project, you should be able to ask them for what incentives and resources are available. Some of them they can even apply for and get and pass through. And if they don't have an answer for you, then maybe talk to a couple more until you find somebody who you feel good about and who can help you get the best price for your work. Thank you, Daniel. So next, yeah. And this I refer to a little bit because of the workshop coming up. Yes, you will save the most money ultimately if you have the direct capital to take on this work. Right? There was even a question about can the Adamah Climate Action Fund support initiatives that are in a capital campaign? Absolutely. The best time to fundraise and to think big and to take climate action is through your standard protocol, right? Like if you're building a new building, that's the best time to build all electric and energy efficient. If you're doing a major renovation, you're already fundraising. Adding climate, we have found from case studies and stories from coalition members that adding climate to your fundraising appeals not only increases the gifts that people want to give, but also brings new donors to the table. And so that's, if you need your board to hear these stories, we have so many stories of what it means to fundraise with climate in mind. And if you just need some more help, there is a world of third-party financing. And there are different ways that this looks, but either the third party can own it and you just get the benefits of the reduced energy cost and the climate benefits, or there's a partnership of leasing and financing. The moral of the story is, if you are ready to take action, we at Adamah and our partners are ready to help you see it through. And then I luckily can see the chat as well. So what we know about in terms of the climate action funds is there will be loans again in 2026. We are expecting the solar bucket, the new Climate Action Fund solar program to be fully depleted in 2025. The goal of that is that it actually is depleted, so that funds from the solar grant will actually encourage all of you to move now, so that not only do you get the $10,000 from Adamah, but that you actually get the 30% from the government. And then there are hopes that the other regional funds as well will continue, though those are as supplies are available. Thank you. And then I'll be around for a Q&A as well, and I'll keep an eye on the chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lior. I really appreciate that. Daniel, do you want to introduce yourself now and open the Q&A?
Yeah, no problem. If you don't, sorry, if you don't know me already, my name is Daniel Dre. If you're from New York, you probably got one or two or more emails from me asking you to join this webinar. So thanks to everyone for your time and for coming to learn more. My background is in sustainability engineering, and I'm really, really excited to use that to help Jewish organizations like your own in taking climate action, lowering your energy bills, and just increasing our resilience as a community. So happy to take the Q&A now, and feel free to drop them in the chat, or if you feel inclined, unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and ask your question.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Can these funds apply to the planning phase or work, or are they only for implementation? The planning could take a year or 18 months for a complex project.
I can jump into that one. I can speak for the Jewish Solar Challenge Grant. That one is available for all different stages of the solar project. For the Adamah Climate Action Funds, one of the things that we ask for is to demonstrate through calculations that we can support how the project you're applying for funding for will reduce emissions. So, right, absolutely, that there is often pre-work that has to get done. But if it isn't part of the project that will ultimately be part of the implementation and reduce emissions, then that wouldn't necessarily be eligible. It would, and if you were to apply, we would absolutely review it. But if there are other applications where the emissions are already going to be notably reduced, then it just is a relatively weak application. But to Sarah's point, she talked about bundling. And so it's very possible that you may have to look at your electric capacity along with doing the work of lighting or thinking about a new heating system. And so you could absolutely bundle the kind of looking at your electricity at large with the emissions reducing part of the project as well. And if Sarah noted, it is supposed to be done in 12 months. If you think the project may actually be done in 14 months, or it's 11 months, but you want to give yourself some more wiggle room, schedule time with us. I think the beauty of the Adamah Climate Action Funds is that we're all here to support you in this work. All of these funds exist to make these projects happen and to give you what you need. And so just, if you're not sure, just be in touch, please.
I saw there was a question from Scott asking if there was a project in the past that received an Adamah grant that's not yet finished, if they would be eligible to apply for another project, either grant or loan. Sarah, do you want to take that one?
Yes, as far as I know, that's true. Need to be up to date with your reporting and have completed your project far enough along to be able to offer these reports.
Thank you. Can I just add a follow-up to that question? It's Scott, by the way.
Of course.
So the current deadline is November 6th for the application. If we're not going to be done with the project by November 6th, but we will be done by the time we would get any new funding, does that count?
You want to take that one, Lior?
Yeah, I think it's the same kind of answer to Sandy, which is just be in touch with us directly with these level of specific questions. Scott, you may be the only one in the room for whom this applies, and if we can make it work to support in the next project, then we're going to want to. And we may not, right there's enough fine line in here that I don't want to give an answer to this room, but the absolute relevant answer to everybody is give us a call, talk to Daniel, check in with Sarah. We can dig in a little bit more about the exact days of the month, and we'll do our best to be able to see through the next project.
Great, thanks so much.
Yeah, Brian.
So I'm a little bit confused. We have till November 6th to apply for the funds. Everything has to be done within 12 months. Yet commencement on the project has to start by December 31st. That's 6 weeks away from November 6th. If you don't give me the money by the first week of December, I can't start project. I don't understand how you can turn this around so quickly to make this work. I'm confused.
Yeah, I can jump into that one. Brian, that's a great question. And once again, like these timelines indeed are tight. So what we've done, and kudos really to Sarah, who has been holding this and pivoting to get to yes for this exact moment. The brand new solar fund that we've launched, that application is up and it's rolling. So if you have a project that is ready to go and you want to make sure that you have those $10,000 to be able to get it going in 2025. Applications are open, it's rolling. We are guaranteeing a response within 2 to 4 weeks. So that's one way that we're responding. And for the Climate Action Fund loans, the normal rhythm, the historic rhythm has been you apply and within like 2-ish months, you get an answer. Sarah and I looked very tight at the calendar, and our goal now is that you should be able to hear back from us before Thanksgiving. And the essence of the nuance, like if you're asking this question, I strongly recommend that you come to this afternoon webinar or just register so that you get the recording, is that commencing construction essentially means putting around 10% of the money aside into work. And that's like, right, this is all IRS regulation of what it means to commence. So even though we're all functioning in a very tight timeline, our hope is that the funds are actually set up in a way that you can indeed meet the IRS deadlines and be able to confidently tap in to the direct pay incentives from the IRS.
Thank you. I have one other quick question. Did the U.S. purchased equipment 10% go away? Is that gone now?
My understanding is that that still is available for 2025. The purchasing and is going to be more, anyway, in 2025, that 10% is still an available adder. So that's why I talked about a minimum of 30%. Any solar project in 2025 will get a minimum 30, and there are adders. One of them, as Brian is referencing, is American-made content.
Thanks, Lior. Morris, do you want to ask your question?
Yes. Talking with our temple administrator, we have a synagogue. We have a building that's 75 years old. We need to put on a new roof before we put on the solar. But the question he asked me is, well, what happens at the end of 25 or 30 years when the productive life of the panels is over? What happens next? And I really haven't gotten good answers from very many people. It's kind of like, okay, well, see what happens at the end. And I guess we want a little more certainty.
Do you have an answer, Lior? I mean, in 25 or 30 years, when that particular installation comes to the end of its most efficient life, you're going to recycle those and put up new panels. And by then, they'll be so much more efficient than the ones that are available now. Lior, do you have a different answer?
Yeah, I just wanted to empathize with the wish for certainty. And I'm not sure that's something that we can offer with a vision or a question about 25, 30 years down the road. But solar panels, it's not that they stop working. It's that they bit by bit are just less efficient. They just produce less electricity. And so there is, I don't know what will happen then, but but whether it's recycled or finding land or space for where they could go for continued production, just not at a level that's useful enough to your synagogue, that is available. But it is generally support and encourage a circular economy where things are not destined for landfills. And so absolutely hear this question and still knowing that, right, that it's that imperfect knowledge that this installing solar and creating renewable energy for the planet and for your bottom line is something that we're really honored to be able to support.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, are there no like insurance plans or anything like that that you could purchase that would help defray the cost? Okay.
Well, there are definitely, and we have cases of coalition members who are taking a portion of their savings, of their monthly savings from electricity, and putting it into a fund to one day get new panels, right? Because everybody is, right, for most people, especially most on this call, you'll be saving money month to month immediately off of your electricity costs. So we do know of people who are putting aside some of those funds so that when they need new panels, they'll actually be ready just to buy them. And if this is a question, there are like the third-party financiers that I referenced. They can be the ones to actually they can be the ones to own and maintain the panels so that all you see are the financial savings and somebody else has the liability. And even with the case of a new roof, they are available to become partners with you, to tap into all the savings and support this whole project. And I mean, like if you've got the will, you got the board, you're ready to do work, we're here to help figure out how to make it happen.
Thank you very much.
Brian, go for it.
So if we're lucky enough to get a loan, I understand it's a 5-year loan. Are you okay with a single balloon payment at the end of 5 years, or do you want recurring payments? What's the typical structure?
Yeah, the typical structure for the loan is a monthly payback, 60 monthly installments.
Okay.
And you can pay it off early with no penalty. And the payback generally begins about 5 to 6 months after you've been notified that you've been awarded.
Any more lingering questions from anyone? Okay, well, I want to thank everyone again for taking the time and making the time to come hear more. And for those in New York, feel free to email me at any time. I'll be happy to discuss more about the fund with you and other things Adamah New York has to offer, like Shachar had mentioned at the beginning. I'll follow up with everyone with my email, and we'll be excited to partner with you.
And I just wanted to ask, Daniel, can you share that last slide? It's got the email addresses for everybody there. And we'll be sharing out a PDF of these slides and a recording of the call to all registrants after this. And I just wanted to add my thanks and also that I'm available to answer further questions about the Adamah Climate Action Funds as well. There's my email, sarah.paulos@adamah.org. And thanks to Lior and Shahar and Annette for joining us today. Thanks, everybody.